Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned Albino ranks every boss in Nioh 2 from easiest to hardest, and by every I mean main mission only, and by bosses I mean assholes. Some of them are really fun, some of them are absolute horseshit. That's Nioh, baby, a game that doesn't end even when it ends several times in a row. Spoiler warning, I'll say it right now since the plot's way more interesting in this one and I should really pay attention to it next time. All footage taken from my first playthrough running tonfas and axe, starting from easiest and working our way to hardest. Number 1, William. Spoiler, the main protagonist from the first game makes a cameo after you wake up possessed by the evil dude you were supposed to have banished already. When I thought I had beaten the game already, nope, time to wake up and fight him again later, so stoked. But first we have to deal with William, who has either lost a step in recent years or is holding back. Either way, he was more threatening when I was controlling him. Everything he does seems half-assed, like here, let me do a nothing combo when you're 20 miles out of range, and then when my health gets to half and it's time to get serious, I'll summon my guardian spirit to shoot like one geyser out of the ground and then fuck off. You spent the whole first game tracking her down and that's all she's doing? I'd have cut my losses. Instead of sailing to Japan, I'd have sailed to the nearest pub and gotten blackout drunk like a true Irishman. You only do 75% damage to him and then the cutscene happens where he knocks the demon out of you and I'm like, you didn't deserve that, you were getting owned. He gets to say mission accomplished. I don't like it. I don't care if he's on my side. It's a pride thing now. Number 2, Azai Nagamasa. This is like if Harvey Birdman studied abroad. Azai spends most of the battle shyly walking towards you, hiding behind his wings like, oh my god, don't look at me, I'm blushing so hard right now. And then every so often he'll leap up and land on you, dealing precisely 0 key damage and opening himself up for a couple hits. That's legitimately 80% of what happens. You can just keep your distance like the government tells you to, and bait this exact sequence over and over again. When he turns it to the Dark Realm, however, he'll start shooting thunder needles at you, but often those are a cover for a burst attack he's readying, and you can use the burst counter to dodge both at the same time. This stage is all burst no bite though, so you can deplete his ki really easily when you learn the timings, and then you're back to weirdly courting each other while you wait for him to pounce on your snatch until you're fully satisfied with his unprotected performance. Number 3, Kamaitachi. This boss is about as dangerous as a normal squirrel. Like, yeah, he's fast and he's got sharp claws and wind projectiles like every other squirrel, but none of them do like any damage or key damage at all, and he can barely punish you for just blocking everything and getting a hit in every once in a while. Staying close and migrating to his ass while he's in the middle of his 3-hit combos is good for getting some hits. Then when he climbs up onto the trees, just hold L1 until the burst attack happens, counter it properly, which is kind of annoying because it's super delayed, and then get your full combo in. During the Dark Realm shift, he can summon afterimage clones of himself to bolster his lunging attacks, but you can block all those fine too, and if you hide behind a tree, some of them can miss entirely. I typed Kamaitachi into Google Translate and it came back as sweets. And I don't know what to make of that. They eating candied squirrels over in Japan? I'd stay away from exotic food at this point. Eat one bat and the world shuts down. I'm not adding squirrel to my diet anytime soon. Number 4, Shootin Doji. Just get the man a drink already. Turns out when you're drunk, you're not that good at fighting. Shootin Doji staggers around the middle of the arena, barely even advancing on you, just spitting fireballs and begging for some more sake. I assume it's sake. I don't know, maybe he likes Bud Light. Did you fucking ask him? He didn't specify a brand. Get me some Mike's Hard Lemonade! This boss fight is what happens when girls drink too much White Claw. He spends most of the battle just straight up wide open, like you can just go up and hit him sometimes, especially when he's entering or exiting the Dark Realm, or dodge his one jumping strike and then hit him a bunch there too. It's not very taxing and I like it. Number 5, Mizuki. The first boss of the game, an enhanced clone of the first mini-boss of the game, Mizuki is a test of how good your combat fundamentals are and your basic knowledge of how dodging works. Nioh 2 has 2 different dodge types, the dash and the roll. The dash is what you do in mid or low stance or when your weapon is sheathed, and the roll is your high stance dodge, or your dodge when your equipment load is kinda high. The roll is slower but has more invincibility frames, whereas the dash is quick but has to be timed perfectly to actually work if you're trying to dodge through some stuff, like a giant cleaver for instance. You can also dash into a roll by double tapping X, but this isn't good for dodging into things because there's a brief window between the dash and the roll where you do not have iframes. My advice for dodging is to roll forward through quick attacks and projectiles when you know your moment arrives, and dash roll or sprint backwards a lot when you're just trying to get a feel for how enemy patterns work, or when you need to reposition yourself. All of Mizuki's attacks can be either rolled past or dodged to the side, depending on if it's horizontal or vertical. If you start spitting little ghosties at you, just sprint up to his side and do some free hits, burst counter his burst attacks, which applies to most but not all bosses, and just be calm enough to not panic mash the X button if something doesn't go according to plan, because that's how you guarantee your own demise. If you're gonna panic, panic block first, then panic dodge out of the block, much better results. Number 6, Enenra. It's hard to rank bosses sometimes because there are different factors, like, oh, this boss was initially really hard until I learned fundamentals, or this boss is technically easy but requires perfect execution, or this boss is easy now but it wasn't back then because of where I'm at in the game, and I think Enenra is kind of a mix of all of them. He's got a lot of health, and if you get caught in a combo, you're probably dead. But there's also only 2 combo patterns to learn, and you're guaranteed punishes after them, plus his burst attack is a free counter, and his tornado and fire attacks are completely inconsequential. The thing you're most likely to get hit by at first, and the thing that pisses me off the most about the fight, is how his realm shift is an attack that does a lot of damage, so even when you reduce his ki to 0, you can only really do 1 combo and then back the hell off before he envelops himself in a tornado and deals a bunch of unearned damage. Like, Enenra's a bitch, straight up, not to mention an idiot that likes to dump water on himself just to cool off and take half his ki bar away for free, which is just distracting and disorienting enough to not actually be that helpful. You're like, oh, he got hit by the water and staggered a little. Do I have an opening? No, you do not. When you see him start to teleport, you should already be sprinting backwards diagonally to be out of range of the first hit of whatever combo he's about to do. If you're new to Nioh, sprinting is your best friend. If dodging and blocking make up 60% of the attacks you avoid, sprinting is the other 40. But yeah, this fight takes a long time. Imagine if bosses in this game took damage like the bosses in the Soul series do. This encounter would be over in a minute instead of 5.5. Number 7, Daidara Bochi. I feel like I should be paid to fight this boss, mostly because I am providing him the service of clipping his fingernails, and this is one manicure he desperately needed. If he wanted to die, I don't know who stores the source of their power in their fingernails, but okay, don't try and scratch me, bro, you're putting yourself at risk. If you have an axe and the whirlwind ability, this boss is very fun. Like, fun. The big Iga ninjutsu bombs are helpful too if you've got enough points to pack 4 of them. Whenever you see both his eyes glowing and staring you down like, hey, what you doing over there? Just go hide behind one of his arms and he'll shoot over it and miss completely. Other attacks include falling rocks and microquakes that can be dodged by walking quickly or slowly, up to you, brah, Bochi don't care. Each time you fully service one of his hands, the other one will bury itself into the earth and you can run up and grapple his sleep eyes for 1/3 of his health gone. After the second one, it becomes the Dark Realm, which makes absolutely no difference to anything. Like, you could just turn the brightness up on your TV and pretend nothing's changed. I really like this boss as a change of pace from all the fast-paced, hard-focusing stuff before and after it. This is just another day at the nail salon. Number 8, Yoshimoto. Whoever drew this man's eyebrows should be run out of town. Number 9, Maeda Toshie. There's not much to say about some of the basic human battles like this one in Yoshimoto. Whatever weapon they use, you just have to fight them like they're a glorified revenant you battled for the armor. This is just man with spear episode whatever, which doesn't mean it's not fun, but there's nothing to really strategize with. When he runs at you while twirling his spear like a flag girl, roll behind him right before he gets to you. There's an opening, do that like 20 times. Number 10, Saika Magoichi. A familiar face from the first game. Saika is less difficult when the whole room isn't on fire. This man sets himself apart from the other basic human battles because of his ability to fly and the presence of his rifle, which has infinite ammo apparently, because I didn't see him reload that shit once. I only get to carry like 8 bullets at a time. Is this dude wearing cargo pants? Or does he have an invisible convoy following him around like he's the protagonist of a Fire Emblem game, or what's going on? His sword attacks do a lot of damage and break ki easily, so you don't really want to contend with that and instead wait for openings after he's done shooting at you or when he lands from being airborne. Also, I guess you can knock him out of the air with a throwable anytime you want, which I didn't remember from the first game till he was already almost dead, so do that more if you want to utterly disrespect and humiliate him. Number 11, Magara no Taka. Of all the bosses in the game, I feel like this one illustrates the perfect medium of what a Nioh boss should be. Learnable, not too hard, imposing, feels good to beat. This is the boss I would show people if I was trying to showcase how boss battles were in Nioh 2. Now, Taka is very solid. There's no real difference between Dark Realm and regular. You just want to take your openings whenever he misses a grab attempt or gets burst countered. Run up to his side when he does that ice shockwave, but not too fast or he'll follow it with a kick, and always roll through his charging sword attack and be wary of any follow-ups. This fight's on the lengthier side, and one mistake at a particularly inopportune moment could wreck your whole life, but keep at it, feller. Number 12, Lady Osakabe. Damn, this is Hideyoshi's wife? Could've sworn it was Oogie Boogies the way they both be turning into houses and shit. If Bochi is the Gasha Dokuro of this game, then Lady Osakabe is the Yamata no Orochi, the multi-headed snake monster, this time with fur. Looking like something out of Monsters, Inc. Imagine this thing popping out of your closet at 2 in the morning and shooting a lightning beam at you. That's scary and fatal. This version is decidedly easier than the last one though. You're still getting pelted with all kinds of elements, but from less sources at once. You can pretty much focus on a head and accidentally dodge most projectiles sent at you from the opposite side as long as you strafe left and right every now and then. Do enough ki, knock the head over, focus on its eye, which takes massively more damage, knock it out, keep going until they're all dead. Then a bigger one will flop over on the roof all tuckered out, and you can go to town on it with the most DPS you can muster. I'm mad I didn't think to use the Axe Whirlwind until the second time because I feel like I could have turned a 3-shot encounter into a 2-shot one based on how ridiculous the damage that does is. Whether you win or lose this battle seems pretty tilted in either direction. Either you dodge everything with basically no effort, or you get chaosed with 2 different elements and get demolished. I don't find it that stressful though. Number 13, Ryoman Sukuna. Think Flexile Sentry meets the Volcanic and Blizzard Lords. If you haven't watched any of my other boss rankings, I highly recommend it. I'm pretty great, and by extension, they are too. You want to mostly try and be facing off against the fire one here. He has the most openings and less annoying ranged attacks. Water dude's gonna be shooting like 10 ice arrows at you in a row, and that's pretty tiresome after a while. Stay close if it's the water guy, and stay in medium range if it's the fire guy. You want to be outside the range of this double axe spin, after which is the best moment to attack. Standard burst counter timings apply if you're close. One's a charging spin that's easy, and one's the blue guy's ice arrow frenzy, which you can only feral counter if you're already right up in there. I prefer the feral counter. I used it almost exclusively. It's a dodge forward at the split second you're about to take damage type of deal, and I'm for that. The brute one is for interrupting burst attacks before they even go off, and I don't have that kind of reflexes. And the phantom one is just kind of weird, so I didn't like it. Anyway, this is like my second attempt on this boss, so I think they're pretty fine to beat. Number 14, Yatsu no Kumi. Man, don't you just love snakes? Especially snakes that have other snakes for arms? This monster emphasizes that you stay at long range to bait him sticking his snake arms into the ground as they pop up and try to bite you, but they miss because you're already booking it over to the boss to deal damage to the snake arms individually and specifically because you want them to be dead before the boss realm shifts, or else they pop off his body and become their own slithery, disgusting thing. So you prioritize catalyzing this particular attack, which means you're hovering out of range for a while, which means you're not really doing damage unless the boss has fallen for your bullshit, which means this fight took me almost 9 minutes, and I set my replay buffer on OBS to always save the last 10 minutes of gameplay, so we cut it pretty close. If you hang out any closer, the big snake does a tail whip that does 70% of your health, or breaks 90% of your ki, which he can choose to do twice in a row before your ki's fully regenerated, which means you're just stuck, unless you have tremendous dodge timing, which I sort of do, but not confidently enough for that specific attack. It's a possibly self-imposed war of attrition, which becomes even more attrition-y, because once the arm snakes are gone, that's one less attack he can choose to do instead of a tail whip, so you'd be seeing even more tail whip, and that doesn't just lower your defense, it decimates it, you Pokemon master you. When he does the drill run burst attack, I think it's actually better to dodge and then attack its body as it travels by, rather than burst counter, which in my experience didn't always work anyway. I don't think this boss is that difficult, but it's just a long time to have to not die at once. Number 15, Nachisuka Kodoku. Teenage Mutant Yokai Turtle. Kusarigama, it's a fucking turtle. Dude, is there a pizza in my jutsu box? I think that might one-shot him. Turtle Man likes to whip and nay-nay on the battlefield with his chain garbage. His shell is protected by spirit stones, so attacking it will at first do less damage, but once it shatters, you can do much more. You better watch out for Shredder, because I'm shredding that light bar, cuz I hate the Kusarigama because it's always just, like, active, spinning around aimlessly, catching my left titty when I least expect it. He's also got a lot of burst attacks with slightly different timings, and his grab extends his blade like halfway across the country, which is a load of nonsense. He's probably not actually this hard, but I didn't have time to learn all of his trash before I killed him, and it took like 5 or 6 attempts, which is too many for my liking. Number 16, Kashin Koji. Kashin Koji. Cash me outside, how about that? Oh wait, you did, and I murdered you twice in one battle. Kashin's kind of a wimp, not as much as Kelly from the first game, although I do get similar vibes when he's attacking me 4 times with his staff and doing no ki damage at all. All his spells are easy to dodge, things only heat up when he goes into the Dark Realm for the first time and summons clones of himself to launch mad projectiles while his normal self is still doing his nonchalant teleporting and wimpy attacks. If you stay circling and moving, you won't be hit by anything, and pretty much every window after a teleporting attack is a window to do damage to him. He fakes you out though, cause you land the finishing blow and he pulls out a quick chain scroll like, just kidding bitch, I got a whole nother health bar, and then his Dark Realm clones increase like 8-fold in number, and they just start pelting the whole damn arena in peppery spray and pray projectiles. It looks overwhelming, it looks bullet helly, but as long as you keep moving, they'll all pretty much miss all the time. You don't even need to roll. Koji's second health bar is also noticeably less buff than his first, and you'll find yourself doing hella damage during your windows. This footage was my first time seeing his second health bar, and it didn't take me long to realize all you really need to do is just run around in random directions and do like 3 quick tonfa hits at a time to make this walking Kung Lao hat eat dirt. Number 17, Kasia. Oh no, it's a cat lady. It's a sexy cat lady. Oh god. Oh lord, it's a sexy cat lady in a wheelchair. Oh my goodness, it's a sexy gimp kitty in a flaming chariot. What the hell's going on here? Kasia might not be able to ride upstairs, but she can sure ride up your ass and leave some burning skid marks to remember her by. It's hard to come to terms with just how many fetishes I'm seeing at the same time right now. She even has a whip. I'm fucking done. Exit me out of the boss fight. I surrender. Give me 40 hot lashes for my cowardice. I don't care, dude. Can you make it 50? Kasia as a boss is hard to pin down. I mean, her legs don't work, so you can start there. But otherwise, she's just moving around constantly, and I have no consistent advice to give other than attack the spirit stones on her spokes to do extra damage. Her burst attacks are pretty easy to counter, and stop, drop, and roll at basically all times because you are on fire. Right now, you're on fire. If you're fighting her, you are on fire. If you're looking at her, your junk is on fire. Blocking and even dodging certain attacks will just simply light you on fire, sir. Have good fire resistance and chase her down. She wants you to stay put, so she can just come back and attack whatever she wants. Don't give her any breathing room. Gotta be hard to breathe in that arena anyway. Number 18, Saito Yoshitatsu. Apparently this is your twin, who embodies the 2 other guardian spirits you didn't choose when you first started the game, so basically you're fighting against Gary Oak if he was an Asian chick with green hair like my character is. I actually vastly prefer the Dark Realm version of this boss, when they start going into their spirit forms, because the regular Yoshitatsu is a cheap whore, whether it's male or female. They have this attack that's literally linked to your attack buttons. It will not come out until you press square or triangle, and then they will do a faster slash than you're capable of, no matter how fast the weapon is, which forces you to play a reactive and defensive game of 100% whiff punishes. When they enter the Dark Realm, they embody one of the 2 spirits they have access to. Since I picked Feral, my Yoshitatsu has access to Brute and Phantom, so I can't comment on how easy or hard Feral is to deal with. But Brute is easy, and Phantom is annoying. With Brute, you just have to jog backwards and bait the move that looks like the Brute burst counter, where it's like an arm swipe, and you get 1 free hit every time you do that, and they will end every combo with it, and sometimes it'll just come out on its own. It's a guaranteed punish, so I love it. When they switch to Phantom, though, they're just keeping you at range forever, and it's so hard to get in there with the floating purple lances keeping you back, so throw some shit back at them. Spells, bombs, whatever it is. If you're gonna do it, so am I. Also, I forgot to mention that I beat every boss in here without using Yokai Shift, following the same rules as the first game's ranking, but it's not much of a flex because Yokai Shift sucks. It's like seriously not helpful, especially offensively, does barely any damage, doesn't stagger enemies that normal attacks don't stagger, lasts for like 5 seconds, waste of time. The Shiftling skill tree is only good for passive buffs, like better key recovery in the Dark Realm and stuff like that. Number 19, Yuki. I couldn't even tell you what this thing looks like. It's like a dinosaur, but also a bug, and kind of a bat, but mostly horrific. Gyuki demands that you roll through its arm swipes and stay as close as possible. Its head is its weak point, but you can hit its body from anywhere and still do good damage. It also has 2 legs that have spirit stones lodged in there, so you can focus on baiting a combo from its front and then dodging forward and running over to crush its legs if you feel like it. Although I do that in this video and break both of them, and I couldn't tell you why it would be beneficial to do that. It's just something to do. You break them and you feel accomplished, then you die later anyway, and you're like, why did I put all that effort into the legs? I hate this thing's burst attacks because it's so damn big that my Feral counter doesn't seem to time it properly ever. Gyuki's pretty much a one-trick pony. Although if you had a little girl who wanted a pony and you showed up with Gyuki instead, I think she might scream a little. Just anything it does, dodge behind it and hit it, and then all you have to watch out for is being landed on, which happens all the time, so don't worry. Number 20, Tok Ichiro. OMG, you were my best friend. You used a stone on me when I was going crazy, and you got us a job with my daddy, and you got us retainership with the man who almost united the nation, but then you betrayed him to unite the nation yourself, you bitch. The spirit stones took over your spirit, bro. That's deep. When did this dude become good at combat? I thought he was like a useless buffoon who was helpless on the battlefield, but also I skipped some of the lore, so that's my bad. Tok Ichiro is head and shoulders above the other human battles. He's got a flaming sword, the ability to buff a bunch of his stats, 2 guardian spirits. He's overdoing it. I didn't know what to do. He never seemed like he was open, except when I interrupted his buff. I sort of had to just attack him first before he could get slashes off, and then also use a bunch of poison shurikens shamelessly because my dexterity ain't 28 for no reason. And we're not even done talking about him because Number 21, Tokajiro number 2. Possessed Tok Ichiro is the same yet different beast. For one, you can't stagger him because he has a yokai key bar now, which is annoying, but on the bright side, he does this rapid shockwave thing all the time now, which leaves him wide open. I don't even mess with any of his other attacks. I just run around, wait for that one good one, run in, get 3 hits, run back out like a straight-up coward. You thought I wouldn't throw more poison at this man? You're off your rocker. I will do what it takes to win, or my name isn't also Hideyoshi. Number 22, Shibata Katsuye. Hate this pig. If he didn't have his stupid sliding homing grab, he would literally be 10 spots down the list. You have to roll through it because it tracks you, and he slides on his belly across the whole damn stage like a penguin, so you can't avoid it any other way. But even if you get relatively proficient at avoiding it, he has one other quick charge move that true combos into the grab, so you're just toast if you get hit by even a seemingly innocuous attack. I out-axed him, and I felt damn good about it. Rolling through attacks is how you get like 80% of your windows here, but when he's in the Dark Realm, it's just like Kasia. You're just on fire for no reason, wasting your ki, rolling around looking like a buffoon. Thankfully, his ki regen move isn't an attack, so you can go ham on him during those shifts. Quick tip for the Dark Realm sections of bosses in general, don't worry about having full ki all the time. You'll probably spend most of it with less than half, and if you're retreating long enough to completely fill the bar, you're probably missing opportunities. Half a bar is all you need to roll in, get a hit, and sprint away. Never want to fight this dude again. Number 23, Atarime. Speaking of bosses I never want to fight again, we have a giant owl. What makes the giant owl the second hardest boss in Nioh 2? In my personal, non-statistical, subjective, personal, biased, non-objective, personal opinion, you might ask? And the answer is the Dark Realm, which is the only Dark Realm to actually cover the area in legitimate darkness, where it's hard to see, and spawns an orb in a random edge of the battlefield that continuously spits projectiles at you that do barely any HP damage, but the point is that they whittle away at your ki, and they stun lock you in place for a split second, and this is all happening while there is still a giant goddamn owl circling overhead, shooting his own orbs at you, or dive bombing you, or running up and pecking you, or shooting eye lasers at you, or flapping his stupid owl wings at you. This boss is pure RNG. Can you destroy the orb? Yes. Are magic or ninjutsu items effective against the orb? No. Does it sometimes spawn in areas where your weapon attacks literally can't reach it? Yes. Destroying it does instantly disperse the Dark Realm and stun the owl if it's nearby, which is cool, but it takes like 3 full combos to do so, and you probably won't get that much uninterrupted time with it. This is my 13th attempt, and I gave in to majorly cheesing the boss with the water ninjutsu art, which wrecks his ki bar. I recommend only doing it during the Dark Realm, unless you want to see it more often without doing much HP damage. What this footage doesn't show you is some of the weird bullshit this boss can get if it hits you with an attack that sends it past you, and then you think you're safe to use an elixir because he's facing the other way, but his head turns 180 degrees, shoots a death beam immediately, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know I hated owls, but I have discovered a pure hatred of owls today. There's a submission you unlock right after you beat this one, and the description is like, there's a shadow hanging over the village again. Could it once again be Atarime? And I'm like, I'm not about to go figure that out, but thanks. Number 24, Otakumaru. Well, hey, the last boss is the hardest boss. Love when that happens from a game design standpoint. Sorta bummed when it happens from a ranking standpoint, cause boy is that interesting. I am so beyond done fighting this dude, whatever iteration he's in. Half the bosses in this game are possessed by him. The title of the video should be all Otakumarus ranked easiest to hardest. I don't think there's a search market for that though. I have no tips, I just winged it. 8 elixirs. I used poison shurikens on the least difficult phase in the beginning because I'm hella smart. If I played the boss live and was commentating it, I couldn't tell you what I was thinking at any given point. My tips would be like, dodge when it seems right, find an opening and attack. Still more helpful than the death screen tips. That should be like, are you still using level 1 weapons and armor? That might be a problem. I'm on the final boss. Did you know burst counters can be used to counter burst attacks? Someone just figures that out and does a no damage run. Thanks, tooltips! During the second phase, when he starts using different elemental swords, get in really close the whole time. Stay close forever, actually, throughout the whole thing. You might be too scared to take your windows, but you'll be avoiding damage a lot when you don't expect to, and then you can sort of suss out which moves you can safely punish. Sprint around any water geysers, dodge backwards against any surrounding lightning strikes, dodge any plunging fire stabs, All of those moves have openings. Every time he switches, his primary sword is an opening too. During his third phase, when he starts wielding all of them at the same time like a total party pooper, watch for burst attacks, cause it is absolutely imperative that you counter them every single time. Can't afford to waste opportunities, man. At least Tok Ichiro's spirit is with you in the form of a monkey that occasionally pops in during every Dark Realm shift to do not enough damage to set the boss on fire half the time. Hiri, I'm here with you! Don't lose hope! I hit him one time and did 300 damage, you got this! Don't flatter yourself into thinking you helped, old man. You still got a lot to atone for. Well, that's gonna do it for this boss ranking. After 41 hours in my finished file and another 8 in my stream file so far, I think Nioh 2 is a fantastic game, and probably better than the first by a little bit, which is good enough. Sign me up for Nioh 3, or if they want to do a Bloodborne type of deal and change the scenario up. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out my backlog. Also, click the bell for channel notifications, especially if you want to be around for my Nioh 2 stream series, which is already underway. Become a channel member if you want to support the channel financially on a month-to-month basis by clicking the big join button on my channel page. And otherwise, I will see you guys next time.